Did he really?
And also, let us know if you want those pictures going on the Instagram.
Oh,
We can
listen,
post them.
how was that anyway?
That was
You made breakfast
fantastic.
as well, right?
Yeah,
Bye,
that
Rob.
was.
Thanks.
See you, Rob.
See ya.
Thank you as well.
Okay.
Okay, we're still on though. Now, how was Rick Dempsey, Anthony?
Rick was really great. He had great stories.
Really?
Told a lot of stories about Earl Weaver. It was pretty funny.
Right. Well,
And you know
he was on the 80.
how tyrant, what a tyrant that he was, and
Yeah,
how he would cuss all the time and kick the
yeah,
dirt on on home plate at the umpires and turn his hat up backwards and get up in the umpire's face and
right.
just funny stories. I mean, Rick spent 43 years in Major League Baseball.
What is he doing now?
Uh, I guess he's just retired. Yeah.
Hmm. He was on the 83 team, right? That won it.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he finished with, you know, he was on Minnesota when he came up. He went to Baltimore. He uh, he
He was on
was
the
on the
Yankees.
Dodgers,
He was on the
huh?
Yankees in the beginning.
And he was Thurman Munson's backup,
Right.
Yankees. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. I
yes,
told John that today.
yeah. No, he was. It was very good, very good. Yeah.
Right.
I had a lot of fun. I listened. I let all the other young kids ask questions. I know them. You know, I know. You know, Sandy, my wife talked to. She talked to Rick Dempsey for a long time because he went to the school where she went to taught in elementary school for 42 years. My wife did, and Rick Dempsey went to the high school where my daughter was a cheerleader at, and so you know they had a nice conversation, and Rick and I talked you know about you know I talked to them on the way out because I didn't want to ask questions. All the young kids were there. You know, I could have asked a lot of questions, but you know, I
Cool.
did.
It was at the church function.
Yeah, it was a church function. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what they just invited them both to speak, or
They invited him to speak. They signed baseballs and autographed them all. I mean, they had a lottery. What you bought tickets and you know they put them in a hat and they pulled out, and people won that. And they had a baseball bat that they auctioned off, and you know so it was kind of fun for the church, and they had a lot of kids there. Their parents did, and you know it was good. It was real nice. Yeah.
that's awesome. I mean,
That's cool. Did you sign anything that got auctioned off?
Me?
Yeah.
No, no.
Not a UCLA hat or anything?
No, no. And I sat very quietly in the stands. He did make a reference and look at me. He says, you know, this is how our managers spoke and motivated teams. He said, but I think, you know, John Wooden did it in a different way. And when he said it, he looked directly at me, but he didn't, you know, he didn't say, you know, he didn't mention my name and he didn't, you know, he didn't put me on the spot. So yeah, that was, you know, I didn't
did you
want to.
like him? Seriously, did you like coming on the show last
Huh?
week? Did you like coming on the show last week?
Oh yeah, he loved it. You know, he's had two knee replacements done.
Okay.
He just got over his second one,
Oh
so we
wow.
were lucky to get him on because he's
Wow.
still recovering from that second one. Yeah,
Right. Well, I'm glad he had a good time. Thank him for us for coming on.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
He's yeah. He really liked me a lot, so he
I,
thinks I'm really good. Thought I had tremendous comments on the show. You know, things that he thought I should have my own show. He thought I was really, really good. He said, you thought you should have done that for a living." I said, "Yeah, right. No, no." I said, "No." I said, "That's not my thing." So, you know,
well,
I says, "I'm lucky to get invited on the Bob Spino show."
yeah. Uh-huh. No, believe me, you did the right thing. You did the right thing because that's what you were meant to be. You're the best trainer like in the world. So, you know, you
No,
weren't wrong. You didn't do wrong. You really
no.
didn't. Um, but anyway, getting back to the league, the Celtics are actually up by 10 points at almost halftime, I think. I just looked it up.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't see how the Cavaliers win a game.
no,
I mean,
no.
You know, the one
it's
thing that I don't believe in with the Celtics until it happens, I want to see if Tatum is a winner or a champion.
Yeah, I'm getting that too from my friends. They don't think he is. But you know what? My argument
Neither
is,
does Stephen A.
oh, Stephen A's wrong a lot though.
Man, the one time you making me agree with Stephen A. I don't think Tatum's it.
Look at
Yeah,
him in mirrors, John.
you know,
No, like Stephen A. Like, look, honestly, I worked with him for 3 years. He's a great guy, but like, he gets a lot of picks wrong. I'm not going to lie about that. You really can't say that yet because Boston hasn't had a deep team. They have a deep team now, and that's what I meant earlier when I said best team they've ever had. I meant as a now, and they're deeper than anybody else. And thanks for sticking me. You tried to make me. Of course, I would never say it about Bird's team. You know that, but
what was
um,
that? What was
I would
that?
never
I
say
didn't.
that Bird's team wasn't deep. So
Oh,
never say that about Bird's team. But and by the way, John and I were talking on the phone the other day about John Havlicek. I got to explain to him just how good he was. And John looked it up. He's like, "Holy smoke!" I go, "Yeah, he was Bird before Bird." Yeah,
Well,
and
it's just the fact that that dude averaged 45 minutes a game 2 years in a row. I
right.
mean, the dude's got like lungs of steel.
Yeah, yeah. What's that? Oh, what's that?
the Knicks,
Havlicek. Yeah, with the
Havlicek, he had to play the game with his opposite
left-handed,
hand.
left-handed.
He hurt his arm and it couldn't shoot. He couldn't raise his
He was
arm,
playing like
so
with
he
a
had to
sling on
shoot.
his arm.
He had to shoot it with his other hand.
He made everything, John. And but I don't think that's fair with Tatum because he never really had the team around. They had no center the whole time he's been. Danny Ainge didn't do it. They didn't get Davis. They let him slip. They didn't get Brooke Lopez when they could have. They let him slip. They didn't get
Every
any big man.
everyone on the first take doesn't believe in Tatum and believe Tatum can get it done. Um, this McAfee, the madman, doesn't believe in him. So
Right.
I'm like, I'm starting to think, yeah, he's good, but he hasn't gotten it done. I don't know. He's not, I don't
Well,
know. So we'll see.
well, some of my friends are saying that to me. Maybe that's where they got it from because they saw it on TV. I know I'm not, but look,
It makes you think. It makes you think, even if you don't agree. But it's a fact that it hasn't happened yet.
I'd still rather
You
just
know,
be straight up honest.
Right?
he looks very similar to like LeBron when LeBron couldn't hit the clutch shot way back and when LeBron was very one-dimensional, and Tatum does not have the passing ability. He might be able to rebound a little better than LeBron, but he does not have the passing ability. And I see him make big turnovers in big moments, and that's what worries me about him. I don't want to see the ball in his hands. I don't want to see him taking the ball up the court. I want to see him getting ISO'd back in it down a smaller guard is really what I want to see in the clutch time. I don't want to see him pulling up for a three-pointer over somebody that's shorter than him just because they're shorter than him and he wants to be the hero. And I know Bob will agree with me. I mean, he takes too many three-pointers when he needs to, go to the rim, finish.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's because he doesn't play with his back to the basket. He plays front. He's not a center. He's not a power forward. He won't go inside. It's almost like he's afraid to go inside. He's going to get hurt. So he stays outside. And to me, I'm going to tell you right now, he goes up against those guys. He winds up playing Minnesota. Those guys are physical, dude. Those guys will attack you. They play tough and they play tough defense. The more I think about it, I can see Boston losing because of him and not getting it done because of him.
Well, you know what?
And if you
The
shoot
year,
50, if you shoot 53s a game, you ain't making them all.
yeah, see, I scream about that all the time. And the game when he was a rookie, when he dunked on LeBron, Boston was winning that game by 10 points late in the game, and they should have won it. And all of a sudden they decided we can put him away now. Let's just chuck threes. And they must have missed like 10 in a row. And before you know it, they were up 10 and then they were down 6 to Cleveland. Because this is before he went to Miami. And they would have knocked them out that year. And that was game 7 in Boston, and Boston lost it. And it was because they chucked the threes. I don't like the fact Tatum's going around telling everybody he's the best player in the league. I'm telling you right now, Brown's a better player. And I can give you reasons why. One, he was very young when they got him out of Cal. He was good there. But he was, like every other kid, chucking threes. But one thing I read about him, he said, I love playing the game of chess. He's a big chess player. I'm like, this kid's smart. I like that. And he literally learned that you can't always chuck a three. And when he does take threes now, because he worked on his game, the threes go in a lot easier. He goes to the basket every single time he's got it. And he's so good and so strong and so talented. You really can't stop him when he slashes to the basket. You can't. And Tatum just stands there and goes, just give me the three. Tatum never learned how to dribble. He's got a terrible handle. He doesn't know how to pick and roll. He don't know how to back people in. He don't know how to face the basket and shoot in the paint.
His passing's terrible.
Passing's terrible. Unless maybe he's passing it to his son in the first row, then he's good. But outside of that, it's not so good. And you're right. He drives me up the wall. But I still think we're going to win because we're deep. I do.
He should have stayed at Duke longer.
Yeah, probably because that's very unusual for a Coach K coach kid. But he may be right. Maybe he just didn't stay long enough.
Yeah, Kyrie was out in 1 year too, and who else? There was somebody else that was there, one and done. But I mean, if you look at their numbers tonight, I mean, smaller sample size. It's literally just a halftime. I mean, Jaylen Brown is 2 for 3 from three. He's got 20 points. Tatum is 0 for 3 from three, and he's got 11 points. I will bet any amount of money you want. Tatum is going to shoot at least 4 more 3-pointers before this game is over. He's got 3, and he's missed 3. He's shooting at least 4 more. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, easily. If
and it's not his night. It's clearly,
right.
I mean, he's 4 for 12,
right.
0 for 3 from 3. It's not his night to shoot the ball.
And that's why they won't sweep anybody, because he'll do that and they'll lose, but he'll go shoot his 23s, Yeah, he won't make them. Hey, John, I agree with you. I'm not sold. This team definitely is the team. Everybody's favored. They're favored to win. It's like the Kentucky Derby. This horse was the best horse and finished 15th. Okay. I'm not, the Celtics can lose. They can get bumped out of this, or they can get to the finals and not win it.
He so wants me to lose.
Huh?
He so wants me to lose. But no, I understand what you're saying. Like when I went to Philadelphia this year.
What's that shirt you got on anyway?
Steve, that I went to the NCAA tournament when we went to the NIT. He actually got a shirt from somebody he knew, and it's Seton Hall. And I didn't. He gave it to me. He knocked on my door. He goes, "Bob, this is for you." I go, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, thanks. I appreciate that."
It's nice to see that you got a clean shirt on today.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's because I'll never win. I never wear it. But anyway, never win the NCAA. Anyway, so I go down there and Boston, first week of the season it was against Philadelphia, first week. And Boston's rolling. They hadn't lost a game. And my friend looks at me, he goes, "Yeah, Boston will win." I go, "I don't know." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I don't know. They're taking too many threes." And they go out there, they shoot 49 threes. And only
that's absurd. That's ridiculous.
That's absurd. And ironically, they lost the game by 3 points. That's the ironic part.
And if you take 43s, and if you would have taken half of those and laid it in, you would have won by 20.
Right.
If you would have had
pace for 44 tonight. 44 they're on pace for.
That's ridiculous, John.
Yes, I know. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that and lost tonight. Seriously. If they miss them, they're going to lose. Yeah. I've seen Boston a couple times to where when they're missing their threes, they're non-existent. Anybody could beat them. I mean, even the Clippers could beat them.
The Clippers did beat us. They beat us by 25.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, how do you let that happen at home? If you're going to lose by 25 to the Clippers at home, and the Clippers got knocked out in the first round, how are you going to win the world? How are you going to be the champion? I mean,
well, we can. I mean,
that was Kawhi was out. That's
but who was in? And I listened to a couple of people on the radio when I was driving the NBA talk radio, and they were saying that Harden is just not getting it done. He's talking all kinds of trash, and then he's going out there playing lousy. And the guys, people are trying to forgive him for it. I'm like, you can't forgive him because he's committing all these turnovers. He doesn't seem to care. He wasn't mentally in the game. They said it right on the radio. He's chucking threes and missing, and the guy just don't care. And then, you're high on Paul George, but what has he ever won? What has he ever done? Nothing. these guys, the guy basically said what we said. They're both selfish, and they just want to look good, and they don't really care about the end result, which is winning. And
Harden is a Hall of Fame player who will never win a championship.
Yeah.
He's got to take the last winning shot every game, make it or miss it. He's got to be the guy.
Right.
And when you put a guy like that, look at how many teams this guy's been with. He can't fit in anywhere because it's all about him. He'll never win a championship, but he'll be a Hall of Famer because he's going to have 10,000 points or whatever. He's a Hall of Famer.
You know what happened?
The most selfish. He's the most selfish Hall of Famer they'll ever have.
They also picked on Westbrook a little bit because he was actually 0 for 12 from 3 in the last game. That's unreal.
Who, Westbrook was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Westbrook's career is over. I mean, he don't retire. I mean, he's finished. Wesley. One thing I'll give him: the guy plays really hard, but he too, in the big moment, he can't get it done. He can't score when he needs to score. He makes turnovers when he shouldn't. He'll cost the team a game. That's why had to come off the bench with the Clippers. Come on, this is the bedroom slippers, man. What are we looking at here?
Well,
Right.
Russell Westbrook, I think the issue with him was, because he came out and he kind of was the same. He had the same issues that Jason Kidd had. They called him Mason Kidd. He didn't have a J. He couldn't shoot the J. He developed that, and Jason Kidd became one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time. If you look at the stats, I mean, when it was said and done, he found a way to extend his career into how many seasons. And Russell Westbrook, he hasn't adapted. He's kind of just folded where his athleticism has not kept up. He hasn't changed, because you watch that series, and I mean the Mavs just left him open. They left him wide open from 3, and he wasn't even shooting because he doesn't have the confidence to make it. He's not working on that. He's not there. And James Harden did actually really well against the Mavs, but Paul George, who's supposed to be this big time defender, they're supposed to be him and Kawhi are two of the better defenders in the league, and he couldn't stop Luka for anything. And Luka's playing on one knee. I mean,
you know what though, John? In the game in Los Angeles, Harden was. I mean, you look at his numbers, you think he did okay, but they were saying that he was like a no-show. He really didn't do those things that you need to do. And the thing about Jason Kidd, you got to remember when he came in the league, point guards never shot the ball that much, but he was the best at getting the ball to where everybody wanted it, where they're really comfortable with it, and they shot the best percentage. He knew exactly where to pass that ball, and he was a winner the whole time. So you're right. At the end, he worked on his game and his shot, and he got better. And he was always a good foul shooter, always. With the Nets, he definitely was. But he worked on it, but he did what a point guard was supposed to do at that time. And that's to make everybody better. And that's exactly what he did. And that's exactly why they won.
Well, that's what a great point guard's supposed to do. He's supposed to be able to deliver the ball to the open man
where they like it the
best. He shoots the ball. I mean, if you're going to be the point guard and you're going to shoot first and pass second, you're not a true point guard. Even Magic was amazing at getting the ball to the open guy and the no-look pass and all that. I mean, like the man, don't like the man. He's a Laker, blah, blah, blah. I get it, Bob. I know how you feel, but the man was tremendous at getting his teammates the ball.
No, I know he was great. I wasn't a Laker fan. I'm still not, but I know he was great. I mean, he did have a lot of nice help, especially Jabbar and Wilkes and all the rest of them.
Yeah, he had Worthy, he had Wilkes. I mean, think about the great players. He had Michael Cooper. I mean, that team was loaded with great players. I mean, they just didn't win with one guy, but Showtime was Showtime. I mean, they were pretty damn exciting. They were good, real good, But that was then, and we're looking at what's going on now. And so far, guys, the team that's impressed me the most is Minnesota Timberwolves. Boy, the Wolves are out there, man. They're attacking. They're like vicious pack. They're a vicious pack right now.
It must be A-Rod.
Huh?
It must be A-Rod.
Oh no, they got rid of him. He's out of there.
Yeah, he's out of there. Yeah.
That's why they're winning.
Yeah. Well, he's not sorry, I just lost my camera.
He,
But
he couldn't convince him to use the steroids, I guess.
guess not. Guess not. Sorry, John. I know you love the Yankees. But
Well,
no,
Anthony Edwards is finally playing like he was a first overall pick. I mean, he was always a good player, but like he's dominating games now when he needs to, and he's playing both sides of the ball beautifully. I mean, this year I had him on my fantasy team. There were stretches. I mean, I know he got hurt. He had I think it was a pulled hamstring for a while, and he was putting up like 9 points here and there, and he kind of got carried because the team is pretty deep. I mean, they got Gobert, they got Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, and Karl Anthony Towns, I think plays better when he's not the guy. He's kind of,
yeah, he's
been
not a
able to
leader.
step up
He's not a
as a
leader.
B type player and, really when the lights are, off of him the whole time, he's really rising to the occasion. So, it's a good core they built and, let's see what they can do. I'm impressed.
I was told today that the guy that built the Denver Nuggets also built the Minnesota Timberwolves because he works for them now. So if that's true, I can see why they really turned the corner. And you're right about Towns. He can't do it alone. And a lot of times, he would chicken out in the past and go soft and not play hard or not play at all in games at times. He would sit out. So he definitely needs help, but he is talented and he can shoot when he's got that other help around him. That's one more person you have to worry about. So, I agree with
I
that,
mean,
John.
Minnesota's always been a really great organization at finding power forwards for whatever reason. I mean, they had KG, and KG couldn't win it alone there. He had to leave to go to Boston because they didn't get him any help. And
Right.
then they had Kevin Love, once again, really great power forward. They didn't get him any help. He had to leave. He went to the Cavs,
Right.
right? And then now they have Karl Anthony Towns. And, a lot of people were bashing him. Oh, he's soft. He can't win. They finally got him some help, and look where they are. I mean, it's pretty simple. You got to get some players to play around them. I love it.
And I think in that locker room, these guys so believe in each other that they believe nobody can beat them. I mean, they just show a tremendous confidence that other teams go out there and go, oh, I hope we win. You can see they're playing just to win the game and hope, these guys are going there to kill you. I mean, they're saying, hey, nobody's going to beat us. We're going out there, we're taking this. That's it. You can just feel it with them. You can see it when they step on the court. It's a whole different game with them. I mean, they're going at you. You're not going at them. They're attacking you. They're letting you know right away, we're here. We're here coming. We're coming to get you. We're going to beat you. We're not afraid of you, And right now they're so
No doubt about
confident.
that.
Huh?
They took it to him, no doubt about that.
Well, and they're showing that great confidence that they got. And you know what? Until they lose and they start doubting themselves, I wouldn't want to play them. Seriously, I would not want to be playing them right now.
Yeah, I'm starting to worry about him myself. I mean, I was more worried about Denver, obviously, and the Clippers because they stacked the team, but Minnesota has been seeming to be getting hot at the right time. So I don't know. Like, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. And
And
listen,
they have a
Boston,
true point guard. We were talking about those true point guards. Mike Conley's a true point guard, and he
Yeah.
does a great job. He's like one of the most underrated point guards. I've seen a lot of stats for him this year about how he's never gotten like a technical foul. Like he's always liked by his teammates and, just really, really very pro Mike Conley. And, he's finally on a team that's kind of getting him over the hump.
Yeah. I
yeah,
remember him in college, what a good player he was in college. Yeah.
right,
Yep.
right.
He's really a good player. I mean, yep. Yeah. I like him anyway. Volpe hit a 2-run homer
I was looking at that too.
I'm sorry to hear that. But what's the score?
6-1. Let's go Yankees.
Go Yanks.
They're playing Astros, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
They're
Rangers tied it
up.
up, by the way. Rangers tied it up.
Oh, they were down?
They were down 2-1.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be you know what? If Carolina can win tonight, it's
They
like,
flip home
that-
field.
yeah, that, and I mean, this thing's it's going a long way. And I still think Carolina can win tonight. I mean, the Rangers are tough, though. The thing about the Rangers, they just score. You know, they can score. You think you got them beat, and then they'll get 2 or 3 goals on you real quick. So that's just how they are. They're good this year.
Well, guys, I'm going to check out because one, I got to take my 5 o'clock pills, which I'm overdue.
Mhm.
And 2, I got dinner on the table downstairs. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's always good to be on. I appreciate having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
But you know, it's good to see you guys and Rob, and we'll probably be on again sometime. You know,
Yeah.
maybe after this round, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rob's going to keep wanting to do every round. I know that
Right.
in both playoffs, NHL and NBA. So,
and,
And I'm
and
sure-
John, who do you like? I mean, who's your favorite team in hockey? I mean, who do you like?
I'm a Devils fan, so it's it was a
Oh,
rough season.
I got it. Yeah.
I actually flipped a text message to Larry Brown because I was trying to figure out people who might want to come on. I didn't get anything back. I think maybe he would probably get back to you if I had to guess. But and he was supposed to be our first guest, and he was going to come on, but we couldn't get the Zoom down, and we kept miscommunicating, and he couldn't get on. He tried to get on, he just couldn't. So, but we'd like to have him on. It'd be great because
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
can break down the playoffs a little bit, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a great mind.
He's a
Yes.
great coach, boy. He's amazing. The guy, he knows players, he knows talent, he knows how to coach them, he knows how to win. He's just one of the best coaches I've ever been around. He's amazing. Yeah.
Right. Have you heard from Wayne Embry?
No, I haven't. No,
Okay.
I haven't heard anything on him either. So
Right.
the last I heard, he was in the hospital. That was the last.
Right. Right.
So
Mm,
I talked to Pat McBride about it, and Pat said the last time he seen him, he didn't look very good. So
no, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Wow. But yeah, okay. That pretty much wraps up the show, I guess. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody for watching, like, subscribe, and
Yeah. So now, do you see does anybody text in a question or?
well, there was a
You
few.
see that?
Like I think Gumby did.
We had
and
those. Yeah, Rob has that on his
Rob has it on
computer.
his.
I don't have that
Right.
loaded up right now. So if
That's
you
right.
do have a question and you did post it, we're sorry we don't have that on our screen right now. So
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that up. So yeah, and we will for sure. But Gumby, thanks for the question. To answer your question again, no, the Knicks aren't sweeping. Not this Indiana team. They ain't. But and you know what I noticed about that last night as I went out to watch, like the Knicks fans, when they first sat down to watch the game, they're really starting to believe that they're world beaters, forgetting that they're not great yet. And then when they started to they're winning early, like, yeah, then I think they were like, Indiana ain't going to give us anything. And then Indiana just took the lead and really should have won and a little bit of shock like set in with the Knicks fans. But then at the end, they kind of forgot it again because the Knicks pulled it out. But they're going to get a rude awakening because they think they're going to beat Indiana really easy, and they're not. They're just not. So Indiana beat us this year one game. They scored 133 points on us. So I know they can shoot. And,
Why I don't believe in the Celtics.
well, you know what, the one thing about it, yeah, they do take too many threes, but they have so much firepower, they can almost overcome it. You know what they drive me nuts too. I don't like the threes any more than you do. And I got to tell you one other thing, and this does involve you because the other day I was talking to my friend Mike, who gets us the 4 tickets for the baseball games. You were there one time. We were behind the dugout. But I mentioned something about this NBA to him, and he goes, "You're absolutely right. It's not that good." And he goes, "And I'll tell you why." He goes, one time you and I went to see your brother when in the 90s. I go, right. And he told us, he said, they're going to Europe to find good players, especially centers, because the league wasn't that good. Because I told them the league was starting to get weaker in the 90s, little by little. After the 80s players, they were the best, and the 70s players, they were all getting too old or out of the league already. And he goes, you're right, because when your brother said it to me, they were looking for players then. And now, today, I mean, Jokic actually said this. He goes, when I came out, from Europe, I thought, this is the NBA. Wow. And he goes, this is the easiest league I've ever played in because they don't play D and there's no fundamentals. So the league really has been taking a step down through those years. That is totally true.
Well,
And
that's true because one, the way these kids are grow up, the AAU coaches don't know how to coach. They don't teach fundamentals to the kids even in college. I mean, the best coach right now, the top two coaches in my mind in college, and I'll say three, the guys who really teach the guys how to play, the guy at Connecticut, Haley,
Hurley,
who?
Danny Hurley, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, Danny Hurley, Bill Self at Kansas, and
John Jonas is the NCAA shirt.
and Tom Izzo, at Michigan State. These guys go into the NBA after 1 year, they haven't learned anything. And growing up from that to that point, they've never been coached well. They had not been coached well in high school. They're not coached well at the AAUs. All they're full of is, oh, you're going to make a lot of money and you're really great. Well, but they have no fundamentals. These players that come to Europe from Europe, and I've been to Europe with teams and gone over there and saw how well they're coached and how well they're fundamentally sound, how they'll make a pick, and how they'll backdoor you and how they'll go to the basket and make layups and the block shots and play you on defense. Today it's three and run down the other end. It's ridiculous. It's like in hockey, they take a shot and everybody's heading back to the blue line. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the opening day roster, and I said this, the opening day roster in the NBA, 30 teams, am I correct? 30 teams,
Yeah,
125 foreigners on opening day roster in the NBA. That's got to tell you something.
Right. These guys here, they're
Come
just
on,
not,
America, you better wake up.
and the coaches.
America got so that they had to put professionals on the Olympic team to win.
Right. Because when we were kids, that was the big deal. We used to brag our college kids can beat their pros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be, we were true amateurs. Now they put a college, maybe one college guy, two college guys on a 15-man roster. The rest of them, they're all NBA guys, professionals.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because that's how we started it. We were talking a little bit about LeBron and I go, he's ruling over a kindergarten league right now. He could be the king all he wants, but this league ain't that good. He would have never been able to do that, what he's doing now, in the 80s. There's just no way. And even in the 90s to a point. And I said, as good as Jordan was, and I love him. It's not that I don't, and I know he's great. I go, he beat everybody except for one player. And he says it himself because I watched the clip. He goes, Larry Bird was the toughest guy I ever played, and I couldn't beat him. And he didn't. So, but now those guys would have killed these guys. There's no doubt in my mind. People thought that the Kobe Dream Team would have beat the 92 team.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you see the way LeBron cries and whines and cries and cries and whines, back then, he would have had a purpose to cry because they would have physically beat the crap out of him.
Out of him. What do you think Rodman and the Pistons would have done?
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So my argument to be fair to the whole argument, he did grow up in a different time period and he did watch different players and get coached from different people, and then being in the league and how the league rewards you for flopping and it rewards you for crying and
Yeah.
moaning and complaining. And back then you weren't allowed to say anything to the ref. The ref could do all but slap you in the face back then. So I mean,
Absolutely. You're
it's
so right,
if
John.
had LeBron not been born in the 80s and had he been born in the 50s or the 60s, he would have obviously been a better player. And he is great enough that he would have been a great player, is my opinion.
He
Having grown
definitely
up
has.
in that time period, he would have made his adjustments as any great player would. Michael Jordan would be an absolute sensational talent today in the 50s, in the 1910s. Michael Jordan would have been dynamite. And I think LeBron, the same exact thing. So,
Well, you know what? I'm not saying he's not a great player, but I mean he's been in 10 titles and lost 6 of them. Okay. Back then, he might not have gotten into 10 titles.
what happens to
And he
underdogs?
wouldn't have won 4. I can tell he shouldn't have won the 4 he won. 3 of them were a little tainted. But and he easily could have lost. Probably should have lost. Back then, you really think he would have beat the Celtics or the Lakers? I'm not a Laker fan. They would have killed
Back
him.
then, he might have been on the Celtics because the Celtics found
No,
amazing
he
talent.
doesn't
No, no,
like
no. Hear me out,
Boston
Bob.
for some reasons. That I won't
Hear me
say.
out. Hear out my thinking real quick.
Yeah.
Boston did an amazing job of finding unique talent, great talent. And if they saw that in LeBron, you don't think they would have grabbed him in a heartbeat? He would have been a Celtic.
Well,
Come
I'm
on.
sure Arbeck would have made like 5 backdoor trades and got him.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
he would have had to do it because if he wasn't on one of the Lakers or the Celtics or the Pistons or one of those teams, he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have been in it 10 times, first of all. And he wouldn't have won 4.
Well, this is what Coach Wooden always says, and I agree with him. You can't compare eras. You can't. That guy was great at his time. Oscar Robinson was the greatest guard I ever saw. He did triple doubles when they didn't even record them. Okay. And then, the Jabari time, his time, he was in the league with many great centers that he had to go up against. Today it's a whole different game. It's a 3-point game. It's outside game. And don't take the open layup when you're under the basket by yourself. Throw it out to the guy and hope and pray he makes the 3. So, you can't compare eras because when you think back about it, there weren't that many great players. I mean, there were great players that weren't capable of shooting threes. They had to go inside. Everything was inside. Fast break, double team, layups, 5 to 15 foot jump shots were the thing. Today, very few people shoot consistently 5 to 15 foot jump shots. And that's been going on.
I also don't think they're
They
coached
tell them
very
not
good.
to.
They're not coached very good.
They're
anymore.
not trained to. They're not coached to. Absolutely.
No. And
Just
and
go
even
to
if they
just go
and
to
if
a
you
high
try to
school
tell
game.
them what to do, they get mad at you. And
Go
they
to a
won't
high
listen.
school game.
What's that?
Tatum's 0
5.
for 5 from 3.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. But we're winning by 14. How to get that in, John?
12. But I'm just making the point that Tatum's still chucking up those threes, even though it's not his night. It's not his night. Stop shooting threes.
But see, when you go play a good team and they shut down the other guys and you're not making your threes, you lose. Anyway, guys, have a good night. I gotta
Thanks,
go.
Anthony.
Enjoy your
All right.
dinner. See you,
All right.
Tony.
Good to see you.